Hello everybody. I know I am almost 10 minutes late. I just got back from picking up the bin of pumpkins, and I'm going to give just a couple moments to see if anybody tunes in, and then we'll get started on our first Tuesday Tales. I'm going to share Snowball's rescue story with you guys. Hi, Deanna. Just got back from picking up the pumpkins, so I was running a few minutes late. Just gonna see if anybody else hops on here, and then I'll get started on sharing Snowball's story. I'm enjoying the cooler temperatures this morning. Definitely feels like fall, but yesterday afternoon it was super hot, so at least we're moving in the slightly cooler direction. I had to hurry up and pick up the pumpkins to make it back here. And I did not get my morning coffee or breakfast, so I picked up a iced coffee on the way back. And Dan is not able to help around the farm today, so the kids and I did breakfast feedings and are doing waters right now. So we're up to 4 people, so I think I'll go ahead and get started. I was hoping that Snowball would feel like hanging out, but she's laying down inside at the moment. So I shared a few photos of Snowball. I think it was Sunday. And Snowball is our little yellow Chiweenie that is like my Velcro dog. She's always with me when people come and visit the farm or come to volunteer. She's one of the first animals to greet anybody. She thinks that everyone visiting is here to see her, so, which is kind of true, but she also goes just about everywhere with me. But she is a sanctuary resident here, and I just thought I would share her story again for those of you that might not know how Snowball came to live here at the sanctuary. So it was December 30th, 2020, and it was almost like 9 o'clock at night, and my phone rang from an acquaintance, and they said that they were in a bad situation, that they were giving their friend a ride to UGA because their dog had been shot in the chest. But on the way to UGA, which is about an hour from where we live, they blew a tire, and they were not going to be able to get the dog to UGA. So they were reaching out to us to see if we could reach out to our vet. Our vet does not do after hours small animal emergency, but we have a really great relationship with the animal hospital. And they asked if there was any way if we could reach out and see if they'd be willing to help this dog, who we came to find out was Snowball, out with an emergency visit, that they were going to be stuck on the side of the road for quite a while waiting on AAA, and that there was actually a Georgia State patrolman who had stopped and was offering a ride to the animal hospital, our animal hospital, not UGA. So I was able to get a hold of a doctor, and they said, absolutely, like, we'll meet you at the clinic. Can you meet us there? So I drove over there, and when I got there, it was Snowball and her owner sitting outside waiting for the doctors to be ready. And I got a brief rundown that she had gone out, came home, her dogs had gotten out, and Snowball had been shot in the chest. And she told me that there was a hole in the fence that she didn't know about, and that she just didn't know what she was going to do. Part of what tugged on my heartstrings is she had told me that Snowball was her dog. She'd had her for 5 years. She was her best friend, but that she had just recently left a domestic violence situation and was a single mother to 3 children under the age of 3. And she had absolutely no idea how she was going to afford Snowball's emergency medical care. So my wheels were already turning in my mind, like, what are we gonna do? This girl has obviously been through so much, and now her poor dog has been shot in the chest. And the vet came out and they took Snowball back right away. They did x-rays and all sorts of diagnostics to see what the situation was, and fortunately she didn't have any like major organ damage or anything like that. It was all muscle and soft tissue damage, but she had been shot, and they did note that there were chicken bones in her stomach. And this is important to later kind of getting the full story of what really happened. And they quoted $1,400 for emergency surgery, and I just watched Snowball's owner at the time crumble. She didn't know what she was going to do. She said she only had like $200. So I immediately said, you know, Outsiders has some of the best supporters. You guys have always rallied around us to handle an emergency or get the animals what they need. And I said, you know what, I'll post about Snowball. Outsiders will cover the surgery. You know, this poor girl, you know, 5 days after Christmas shouldn't have to be deciding between, you know, euthanizing her best friend. Well, and nobody should have to euthanize an animal over money. So I immediately got to posting about Snowball. The vet went ahead and moved forward with stabilizing Snowball and said they were going to make sure she would make it through the night, and then they would go ahead and do surgery first thing in the morning. So the next morning rolled around, Snowball had survived, and they moved forward with surgery. Now, because of where she had been shot on her left side, so the left of her chest kind of through her armpit area. And they had to remove, well, there was a lot of tissue that had to be clipped, and it was a mess. It was kind of like a bomb went off. And so she ended up having surgery, but having a large open kind of area from the skin being so tight. And they said that she was going to need, you know, routine bandage changes and wound care. And, you know, oh, hold on, here is Snowball. Snowy, come here. Did you hear me talking about you? Did you hear me talking about you, huh? You're such a good girl. Say hello to everybody. So this is Snowy. Yes, you're such a good girl. You came outside now? You were ready to get out to bed? Okay. We'll let her do her business. Kathy, Snowball is okay. I'm telling the story of how Snowball came to live with us. So, knowing that her owner was a very young girl and told us, you know, she was going through a lot personally and having 3 kids under the age of 3, and she also had other animals, she didn't feel very confident in her ability to take care of Snowball while she was healing. So I ended up offering for us to foster her and do her bandage changes and follow-up care and all of that to get her healed so that she could go home. And this would also, in our mind, would allow her owner time to get the hole in the fence repaired. And she kind of lived out in the woods and was kind of remote, so she said she didn't have a lot of cell phone service. So I went out there and I found out that she had 3 other dogs. One was an older dog that needed medical attention. The other 2 were not spayed and neutered, and she actually didn't have a fence at all. So that kind of changed our thoughts on the situation, but we had already offered to help with Snowball. We didn't want her to feel like we deceived her or misled her that we would help and then not help or keep her dog, because a lot of people, when they found out that it was kind of a dire situation and not the most responsible pet home, kind of got upset that we weren't demanding that Snowball be surrendered to us. And even though, yeah, it's definitely upsetting that we were misled and not told the whole truth of things, we still wanted to help. She still very much loved her dogs. She was just, her priorities were a little different with everything going on in her life. So we still moved forward with fostering Snowball for her. In the meantime, we helped her get her other female dogs spayed. We got Snowball on heartworm prevention. We tried to help facilitate medical care for the other 2 dogs. The senior dog ended up just kind of vanishing from the situation. And she assured me that she was not going to leave the dogs outside anymore. We offered wire crates, you know, for when she's not home. You can crate the dogs. She didn't want them. We put together an Amazon wish list, and you all sent diapers and wipes for her children, dog food, and of course donations to help with Snowball's medical care. So 2 weeks went by. Snowball was, you know, our foster dog. She got the all clear from the vet that she was good to go. She was okay to return home, and she had already been spayed at that point. So we ended up returning her, and I told the girl, if there's anything you need, please let us know. We will gladly help you out any way that we can. And at that point, we hadn't gotten very attached to Snowball. I mean, she's a very lovable dog, but in our minds, you know, we had it that Snowball is going to go home with her family, and we're just going to try to help this girl be as successful as she can on her own. And like 3 weeks went by, and we hadn't really heard anything, and I wasn't really expecting to hear anything, but I got a call 3 weeks later at like 2 o'clock in the morning. And I didn't hear it because I'm kind of dead to the world at 2 o'clock in the morning. And I thought, well, maybe she like butt dialed me or something. So when I got up the next morning at 7, so 5 hours later, I tried calling her back. I messaged. I didn't get a hold of her. She didn't respond. And then 12 hours later, she calls me again. And we had been Facebook friends at the time, and I had noticed she had gone on a trip. She had gone to Pennsylvania. So we're in Georgia, and she went to Pennsylvania for, I think, 5 or 6 days. And I think at one point I had checked in with her, and she said her mom was checking in on the animals, you know, twice a day. And I just thought that's kind of odd, but okay. I mean, we have a lot of dogs here, and we've had dogs for a long time, and I couldn't imagine just leaving them unattended for such a long stretch of time and only checking on them twice a day. Like, maybe for cats that works, but for most dogs, it didn't seem like the greatest idea. But anyway, she called me back at like 7 o'clock that night, and she said that she had gotten home from Pennsylvania and that there must have been a dog fight and Snowball had been attacked. And she said, I think she's okay, but can you come and check on her for me? And I said, of course, like, I'll be right there. So I grabbed my, I have a toolbox that has all like my medical supplies in it. and I grabbed it just thinking like maybe like clean some puncture wounds or something, and I rushed over there. When I got there, I was speechless. She led me into her house, and it was spotless. So she had, I guess, been spending the day cleaning. She said the dogs had really trashed the house while she was gone, which sounds about right for leaving dogs locked inside for, 5 days. But Snowball was laying on her couch, and her whole entire face was just swollen, and her whole body was swollen, kind of like when you see those pictures or videos of like when a dog gets stung by a bee and it swells up really bad. So she had her head laying on the armrest like that, and I went to pick her head up to look at her, and it literally made like a Velcro tearing, like when you open Velcro or rip it, it made that kind of noise because she was so swollen and had so much just drainage. She had like adhered to the sofa from, I guess, just laying there for so long, and she was so incredibly hot to the touch. So to be honest, at that moment I was pretty pissed off. I was like, how on earth does anyone think this is okay? And like she had told me she had gone and run errands and everything all day and was like playing catch up being back in town, and I'm like, this dog should have been at the vet hours ago, like a long time ago. And so I stepped outside, and remember, our vet does not see after hours small animal emergencies. So I was calling in yet another favor, and this time I was trying to keep it together, but I was crying, and I said, something really awful has happened to Snowball. She was attacked by another dog. She looks really bad. Can you please see her? And the two doctors that were there, Dr. Ashley and Dr. G, they're finishing up for the day. Like, this is already like 3 hours after the clinic's closed. They're finishing their nighttime treatments, and they said absolutely, like, bring her right over. So I'm so grateful because I feel like they saved her life. This clinic had already saved Snowball's life once being shot, and then I remember putting her in the car, and I told the girl, I said, she has to go to the vet right now. Like, I'm so sorry, she has to go. And she said, yeah, absolutely, whatever. And I remember rushing Snowball there, and I was just crying because she just looked so disfigured. And so I got her to the vet, and they took her in, and she had 105 temperature, which is horrible for a dog. I mean, that's a very dangerous fever. And they did x-rays, and I guess the dog, she got into a fight. So let me back up. Snowball's a Chiweenie, so she's like a Chihuahua weenie dog, maybe a little bit of lab mix. She's only 30 pounds, so some people are surprised. They think she's a much bigger dog online, but in person she's, like at my ankles. But she's this little dog, and I guess the dog that attacked her was like a pit bull. And the dog was not aggressive. I think that this was a poor choice on the owner's part of leaving the dogs unattended inside for days at a time. They were probably hungry, once again trying to eat trash to survive, which is why Snowball had been shot originally. The dogs were tearing into the neighbor's trash can for food. And so Snowball had been attacked by this much larger dog, and it put several puncture wounds all over her body, but her trachea was literally fractured in several places, and so her whole body was swelling because air was escaping out of her trachea and filling the space between her like muscle wall and her skin. So she was literally puffing up like a balloon because of the damage that had been done. She was likely grabbed by the throat, shaken, that kind of violent attack. And they were not very optimistic. They said, this is really bad. We're going to see if she makes it through the night. They gave her all the medicines that they could, and I don't think we slept that night. I felt so guilty for returning her, and felt like I had failed her in a way. But again, I was trying to like talk myself off of that ledge. Like, it's not your fault. Like, I was keeping my word, not taking this person's dog from them, and, you know, just trying to help. And once again, we're just trying to help. So they called us the next morning, and they said that she had made it through the night. Her fever had broke, that they were going to have to do surgery to place like some drainage tubes for all the inflammation around her throat. They mentioned that, you know, if she doesn't start to show more drastic signs of improvement, that she was going to need to go to UGA, possibly for an MRI, and that the damage they were seeing with her trachea was actually so significant, they said that, you know, the possibility of her needing a feeding tube is not off the table. And I was just we were all so devastated that this poor dog, you know, just went through one horrible experience of being, you know, shot in the chest, and now was here fighting for her life a second time, not even a month later, from being, you know, viciously attacked. And I knew at that point I was going to have to talk to her owner, because this was, again, a huge financial commitment for us. And I was going to tell her that, you know, we can't, at this point we didn't want her to keep ownership, because I felt like this dog will die if she goes back to her. Even if we help her again with the medical bills, this is not a good, responsible home for her. And I would rather her just not be able to pay the bills and put her down than to have to give her back. So I had to go to her house and talk to her face to face, and I said, you know, we're willing to get Snowball through the situation and try to save her life for a second time, but you're going to have to surrender her to our organization. We cannot pay for her medical bills again. And I really thought she was going to, like, maybe try to start a fight with me. I mean, I was not expecting for her to literally drop to the ground, be devastated, and say she only wants what's best for Snowball and she would sign her over. So I felt bad in that moment, because I know how much Snowball means to me, and she had her a lot longer, and I certainly don't want to cause anyone else more pain. But I am here for the animals, and removing Snowball from that situation was best. So she signed over our owner surrender paperwork. We told the vets to move forward with whatever they needed to do, and Snowball was hospitalized for, I think, 2 more days after that. She came home and she was in a lot of bandages. There was, I think, every other day vet visits, and then she had her drainage tubes pulled and lots of pain medication and antibiotics. And let me get her gun. Snowy, come here. Come here, pretty girl. Come here, my baby. Okay. So here she is. So here's my baby. So as you can see, she's much better now. Much better than what I'm describing. Such a good girl. See, everybody loves you. They do. Yep. You're a good girl. So Snowball's like 7. She was about 5 when all of this happened. You're a good baby. Let me see. Yes. So I say she's small and 30 pounds, but she is a little heavy to hold. Minnie, come here. But I can hold Minnie a little easier. So that is Snowball's story of how she came to us. And say hi, Minnie. Say hi to everybody. See, maybe we'll share your story next Tuesday for Tuesday Tales. Huh? Such a good girl. But yeah, so Snowball's rescue story. And Janet, yes, I am running around like a mad woman this morning. We did get Minnie's medication that you sent, so thank you so much. I was going to send you a message back here shortly. But yeah, so that was Snowball's story. And she's been a part of our family ever since. And she sleeps in the middle of the bed between Dan and I every night with her head on her pillow, just like a person. You guys have spoiled her so wonderfully when she first arrived. We had a Snowball wish list, and she got a car seat and blankets and a new collar, which she hates collars. So she's not normally wearing one. But I'm trying to think like what else I can tell you about Snowball. It was quite the story of how she became part of our family, and I'm gonna try to get some of her like pictures together, like from the beginning to now. She came into our life not even 6 months after I lost my mom, and we had just also lost our dog Roxy, who was our black German Shepherd. And we're not a dog rescue. We have a lot of dogs, but we don't often, I say we don't often take in dogs, and here we are with 3 new ones. But at that time, you know, we weren't looking for another dog to add into the family, and here comes Snowball, and we just cannot imagine life without her. And I feel like partially like my mom was looking out for her, and like somehow all the stars just aligned for us to be able to help her and give her like the second chance at life, and have a life where her medical needs are met. And a little, so the acquaintance that I'm trying to figure out how to explain this. So the acquaintance that had reached out to us to help her when she had been shot was somebody that also works with animal rescue in the area and like networking, and she's actually the person that gave us Sophia. So Sophia is our little chocolate Chiweenie lab mix that we post about. She's the one who's going through her weight loss journey. But we got Sophia June 2020, I want to say, or maybe it was May 2020. And all we had been told was Sophia was the runt of her litter, and that this acquaintance had been trying to, you know, nurse her back to health, that she had taken her from mom because she was like 5 weeks old and just really not thriving, and asked if the kids and I wanted to take her on. And we had much fewer animals at the time, and I said, sure, like we'll try to help. Our kids, Mara, Porter, and Isley, love animals so much, and Mara has always done really well helping out like fostering bottle kittens, so we thought a tiny little puppy would be fun. Well, come to find out later, when we met Snowball, Snowball is Sophia's mom. And Sophia is from the last litter of puppies that Snowball had before the acquaintance was able to help get her spayed. So it was kind of a long process of helping that woman get her pets under control. I guess Snowball had quite a few litters, which also makes me really sad, that she had just kind of been not a intentional backyard breeding dog, but when someone doesn't spay and neuter their pets and has a bunch of intact dogs, you're going to have puppies. So that was the situation, is I guess instead of spending $100 to get Snowball spayed, they just let her have puppies for like 4 years. So now Snowball lives here. We had Sophia obviously before that, and they have been reunited. Snowball is not about puppies. She wants nothing to do with them, which I don't blame her, but she does tolerate Sophia, and Sophia just loves everybody, and Snowball is, even though she's 7 and that's still fairly young for a small dog, she's just enjoying her retirement. She's enjoying no more scrounging through trash to find food, and it's really funny. She's the last creature in our very big family to get out of bed every day. She loves to stretch out when Dan and I get out of bed, almost like we've been in her way all night. She'll kind of stretch out as much of a starfish as a dog can, in a starfish position, and have the blankets all around her, and she's just living her best life now. So I try to post everyone as much as I can, but there's so many animals to share with you all. I think we're just going to be doing Tuesday Tales now moving forward to kind of help keep them fresh in your memory and help you get to know them a little better. But yeah, thank you guys so much for tuning in with me. I've got to get busy. Like I said, Dan's not able to help today on the farm. So it's the kids and I, and yeah, we've got a bunch of pumpkins to unload and all that fun stuff. So thank you to everybody that donated for the pumpkins and continues to support us and shows up. We still have the opportunity to raise the $30,000 through Facebook's bonus program. So if you guys can just take 10 minutes of your day for the next 9 days, I think, and just scroll through our posts and comment and react to them and share them. It's literally free money for the animals and super, super helpful. We're hoping if we can reach the full goal of the $30,000, we'll take care of all of the winter expenses, and that would just be so incredibly phenomenal, and we'd even have enough to get started on our permanent big pig barn. So thank you guys so much for watching and interacting and loving our animals just as much as we do. I hope you guys have a great Tuesday, and we'll talk to you later.